Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Ferguson of South's Finest Meats, the official sponsor of the Stingray Show, has a message for you.
Everything we do here is fresh and custom made, custom to order. I tell people when they come in, if you don't see what you like, ask somebody. We've got the capability to process it, make it. If you want a different blend of hamburger meat, we'll do your brisket blend. We'll do your chuck blend. We'll do your sirloin blend. We do all that right here. We are a butcher shop. It's what we do. So please don't be afraid to ask if you don't see what you like. We can make you any size patty you want. We can make you any amount you want. People call me and say, well, how many patties come in the box? Well, ma'am, how many would you like in a box? You want 12, we'll put 12. You want 25, we'll put 25.
That's just one of the many things that South's Finest Meats has to offer, the official butcher shop of the Stingray Show. This is the Stingray Show, and coming up on this edition, we are in the heart of the college basketball season, especially in the SEC, and we have some new leaders at the top of the SEC. We will be discussing last night's action, tonight's action, and then all of the slate of games that we have on Saturday on the hardwood with Chris Lee of Southeastern 16 right now on this edition of the Stingray Show. So strap in, because it's going to be a good one.
Hi, this is Tim Brando with a reminder. Look out, you're about to feel the buzz of Stingray.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I'm Heath Hopkins. I'm here in DeSoto County, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Mark, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you feel that responsibility to pay it forward and give some kid a chance coming up in the ranks, kind of like Tony did for you?
Why do you think I'm talking to Stingray tonight?
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
No.
Hey, Stingray, Here's the deal. When you get involved with Texas, it's like getting married to a stripper. and let me explain this. It looks good. It's kind of sexy on the surface. Yeah. But then you get the baggage, you get the drama, you get all that eventually comes with it. And that's what you get with Texas, and that's what the Big 12 learned.
And Heath, any thoughts on our show moving forward?
Hey, with the Stingray Show, if you don't like it, you better learn to love it, because it's the best show going today, baby. Woo!
And of course, with that, we want to welcome you inside the Wednesday edition of the Stingray Show. Heath, how are things with you in Hernando, right outside of Memphis, Tennessee?
It's Groundhog Day again. We're just snowed in. It's the days are running together. I told my wife yesterday, I was like, no, today's Wednesday. She goes, no, today's Tuesday. I was like, are you sure? And she was right, like she usually is. Or did I say usually? Always is. But yeah, man, snowed in. I've been watching them. Got a lot of sledding in. Talked to the neighbors a good bit. Watched a lot of movies and shows with the kids. We're watching Mr. Beast games right now. We've watched some old WrestleManias. We've watched the Rocky franchise. So we're trying to keep ourselves entertained with 4 children as best we can.
Heath, I don't know if you saw this or not, but Nashville is trying to thaw out. Oxford got a lot of dangerous and crippling ice storm. This weekend is Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. It was supposed to be in Oxford, Mississippi. They can't play it there. It was supposed to be moved to Nashville. They can't play it there. Guess where they moved the game to? The Legacy Arena in Birmingham, Alabama. And they moved it to Friday.
There you go, man. I mean, it's insane seeing all the stuff. Matter of fact, one of my neighbors is a pilot for Ole Miss. Saw him sledding yesterday out at Conger Park, and we talked for a while. And he showed me the runway. Yeah, there you go. He showed me the runway there in Oxford, and he was just saying the school was getting upset with the guy that's over the airport. And he's like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And he was like, we don't have the equipment to get all this stuff. If you want the runway clear, we're going to have to do these things, and these things cost big money.
Right.
Great guy that is also one of my neighbors, John Fowler. He lives around the corner. We've coached together and against each other over the years in softball, but he works for a company that is working things. Brother, they've been out at Memphis International, basically the headquarters of FedEx. And his crews worked, I want to say, like 3.5, 4 days straight. I don't know what FedEx paid, but I know it was worth FedEx to get those runways clear, to get those packages to everybody.
Right.
But they were, even when the stuff was coming down, they were out there on top of it, making it happen. So a lot of people out there working hard during these storms, putting a lot on the line, risking a lot to get us back to normal.
Heath, let's transition to SEC basketball. And currently, right now, the standings as we move into this week, we have a new leader at the top. It is Texas A&M at 6-1. Then we've got Arkansas, Florida, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Georgia, and Alabama. That, of course, is the top half of the SEC standings. And to break down all of the action, and especially the run that this Vanderbilt basketball team is on, here is Chris Lee of Vandy 247 and at Southeastern 16. Chris, how are things with you? And I guess I would say crisp, cold, and snowy Nashville, Tennessee.
I've been blessed, and I don't say this without, I guess, a grasp on what other people are dealing with, but we were fortunate. We never lost power. A lot of ice here just south of Nashville. And I'll say this. We bought our house, 17 or 18 years ago. And one thing in a house that I never had one before you grow to appreciate was a garage. If I ever move again, I would like a garage. And the other thing I would add to that list this week is underground power lines.
Yeah.
Very underrated thing when you get a week like we had.
Yes.
Oh, I bet. Chris, I was talking to my best friend from high school and my best friend from college. They both live in Oxford. They haven't had power for days. And one of them hasn't had water for days.
Oh, my God.
And, it's just one of those things. But he had a lot of folks from church coming over this morning. They were clearing trees out of his yard. He said, we want to make my yard looking great. So when we heard that the linemen were going to be coming through here in the next couple of days, fixing our neighborhood, we wanted to make it easy as possible for them to get to our house and our yard. So it was nice for him that folks from church were coming over and helping him clean up his yard. But man, can you imagine going from like Saturday to now, and you haven't had a bathroom, you hadn't had electricity, you hadn't had water? I mean, that'll wear on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I started not to bring it up because I don't want to be insensitive to the people that went through stuff. But, just if anybody's out there listening and you're looking at buying a house one day, that's one thing maybe to look forward that maybe you weren't thinking about, but maybe you should.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Chris, when we dive into the world of SEC basketball, what is one team that you just can't seem to still get your pulse on as a basketball team so far this season?
Oh, gosh, I'm limited just to one here. I'm going to pull up the standings because I don't want to leave anybody out. And there's several teams that have just flummoxed me at different times. Missouri has kind of won last night. Missouri got clocked by Alabama. Maybe that's just a road home thing. But, I mean, Missouri's very talented. You saw them beat Florida to open the conference season. And I'm not sure that Missouri team is a team we've seen much since.
Right.
I think Auburn's won. Auburn has had some very uneven results. I watched the Texas A&M where it got beat at home, where A&M just blitzed them late. I've gotten clocked a couple times, but then clobbered Florida. So again, maybe that's sort of a home and road thing.
Right.
Georgia's one. I think Georgia's a home and road thing based on matchups. I think Texas is the team because at times I see Texas look really, really good.
Right.
And at times Texas looks very pedestrian. I think those are the teams at the top of the list. You've got some other teams where their performances can kind of be explained by injuries. Alabama would be one of them. Kentucky got clocked by Vanderbilt on Tuesday. Kentucky won 5 in a row, but I hadn't really bought in. And Arkansas is kind of one too, where they can look really, elite at times and pedestrian at times. I mean, I feel like I just covered half the league, but that's the kind of year we're having.
Chris, I think it's safe to say for all of us that the most disappointing team and the most disappointing outcome this far would have to be Chris Jans and Mississippi State. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, disappointing is opposed to win. I'm not sure the roster is that good after Hubbard.
Right.
So, kind of after seeing him play, and look, he's good enough to carry them at times. You saw it at Texas to open the season. But I just don't think that outside him, they've got a lot of talent. I think when you've got a guy that carries you and he's probably 5'11", you can put guys who can move in this league that are 6 inches taller on him. No, he gets a lot of elevation on that jump shot, which helps. But I just think that the lack of really good offensive parts around him are kind of wearing him down. And this is not a State team that's just got kind of those 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" erasers around the rim that a lot of Jans's teams have had.
Right.
Chris, looking at the SEC so far this season, I'm a firm believer that defense travels. The teams that are most sound on defense, great at defense, those are the guys that go on the road and get wins. And winning on the road in college basketball is massive. Who has stood out to you so far? Because SEC play has just kind of gotten started, and it doesn't matter what well, it does matter, but your non-conference opponents don't really tell the story of what team you really are. When you get to SEC play, and we're a month in now, it starts telling us something. Who is a defensive team that really stands out to you? Like, this is the team or teams that can really go on the road and win in the SEC and make a lot of noise come March.
I think Florida's one of them just because of its bigs. I mean, it's just so tough to get shots off around the rim against those guys. And I know that their guard play lags their bigs, but they've got Boogie Flynn, who's a pretty good athlete. So I think they're one. I think Vanderbilt at times has been one. It's been very uneven with Vanderbilt. I'm looking this morning. Vanderbilt is 16th in adjusted defensive efficiency at Ken Palm. I think 2 games ago, Vanderbilt's 28th or 29th after just 3 straight really clunkers of games. But Vanderbilt holds Kentucky to its lowest point output of the entire season. And, guards, Tyler Tanner, among them, really, really good. No, Vanderbilt right now has got 2 of its top 3 guards out in Duke Miles and Frankie Collins. And that really cuts against what they do best, which is those 3 guys are really good at picking up steals and getting open buckets and in transition on the other end. So that's kind of been cut off. Miles is out a few more weeks, and I'm not sure how much longer Collins is out. When they get those 2 guys back, I think they were elite defensively, but there have been times where they've been awful defensively recently. So Tennessee is always in the discussion. It's not the elite Tennessee team we've seen the last few years at times. But, certainly Rick Barnes' teams can crank it up as Alabama found out this weekend. So I think those are the 3 that probably most come to mind.
Chris, let's stay right there with Alabama. You mentioned them. What are your thoughts before we go any further about the whole Charles Bediako situation of him giving up the remainder of his eligibility a couple of years ago to go to the NBA draft, went all the way through it, did not get picked, goes to the NBA G League and plays for 3 different teams, and now all of a sudden a restraining order allows him to come back to college and play for Alabama. That is straight madness. Your thoughts on the entire Charles Bediaco's situation?
I think it's turned college basketball and college sports into kind of like that Batman meme, where they're pointing at each other. I mean, this is the cycle we're in, guys, okay? Something like this happens. Everybody screams at the NCAA to do something about it. The NCAA says we're going to do this or do that, or, you can't play this guy. Then somebody goes to a court of law that supersedes whatever, and then we start all over again.
Right.
And then people complain about it, but then it's like, I think in sports, you're at this place where it's like going down I-65 into 65 and everybody's driving 95. Probably a lot of people don't want to drive 95. But when everybody around you is going 95 and you're going to get run over, you kind of have to in self-defense. I think it's just become impossible to sort it out. I think it's become hard to know what to do because every time the NCAA makes a stand, and look, the problem is the NCAA's business model was illegal. It's getting picked apart in court, and that's why nothing stands. And we're just in this stalemate that I think we're going to be in for perpetuity, and until somebody figures out like, hey, let's get the sides together and come up with a set of rules, because as long as you can agree to things like they sort of have, but then somebody says, well, hey, nobody's going to obey these rules and we got to compete, so let's go do our own thing. And I just see us stuck there for a while.
And a quick follow-up to that. How strange is it, but actually it's not, that the SEC office did not come out and make a statement about the situation? I figured they would come out and say something.
It's darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Chris, looking at that entire situation, and a lot of people have disagreed with me, and you might have too, but this is one thing that you always need to follow when any kind of law is getting put in place in our country, is where the lobby is standing and where's the money coming from. I mean, we never see laws against insurance companies. They own all the politicians, both parties. That's the thing. And when it comes to things like this, here it comes, the federal government's got to step in. Congress has to step in and do something. Who has the most money? The NCAA. Who's second? No one knows.
Yeah.
And I keep saying, is the NCAA purposely taking a step back, letting this thing burn to the ground so Congress will step in? Oh, Congress, here you go. I'm going to donate to, your campaign fund. And I have all the power again, and the federal government backs me. Do what I say. I'm the NCAA. That's where I see this whole thing going. That's where I've always seen this whole thing going. And since the very beginning. So with that being said, the thing that drives me crazy is every now and again, like the NCAA stepped up in this situation, said, you can play him, but at the end of the day, we pick who goes into our tournament in March, and we're going to consider all these games that he played in as forfeits. They'll be considered as a loss.
Yeah.
And you will not go into our tournament as long as he plays. And the second part of it that I see is you get your licks in now. Wait till I get all the power, and you're screwed. That's how I see this being played out. Am I wrong?
They being who in the latter part?
Who being Congress giving?
You said when they get all. You said when they get all the power. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's the blind leading blind here. I mean, you've got. I can't think of. And look, I have friends. I was in higher ed. I'm not going to paint everybody with a broad brush, but higher ed is an institution that's very easy to grift. It's publicly funded. You have so many jobs in higher ed that have no correlation to any kind of valuable output. And then everybody knows Congress, the stories of how, you get these people that get wealthier, they get better returns on their stocks than Warren Buffett and stay in Congress forever. I mean, look, are there two more inept institutions right now than Congress and the NCAA? And one is looking at the other and go, please come bail us out. It's just not going to happen. I've just bewildered for a long time. Like, what power do they have? I mean, I just don't get it. This all goes back to the NCAA setting up an illegal business model basically in the 1950s because they didn't want to pay the players. And so they said, we're going to make these guys student athletes. And under that designation, we're going to be exempt from all these things. These things fall apart in court one time after another. That's why we are where we are.
Yep.
We keep trying to bring up an analogy near and dear to your heart, except this is a kind of cool. You remember the old bleachers in the left field at Mississippi State?
Oh, yeah.
Nobody ever sat and said, hey, this is what a cool thing in left field would look like. Somebody would just bring in a rusted old bus or whatever, and they just cobble one on top of another without any, I guess, without a lot of consideration of how they interact with each other or whatever. That's what the rules are in the NCAA. That's what the whole situation is. It's just a situation where they keep stacking these layers on top of each other rather than tearing the whole thing apart, building a plan, and starting from scratch in a way that's coherent and cohesive. And I just don't think it changes until we get to a point where we just blow the whole thing up and start over again. Yep. And that includes like a ton of layers that I can think of, and I'm sure a ton that I can't.
So, Chris, let's stop talking about the powers and talk about the battle on the court. Tonight, we have Mississippi State at LSU. We've got Tennessee at Georgia, and then the two late games are going to be Texas and Auburn, and Florida and South Carolina. Break down a couple of those matchups for us, please.
Did you say Tennessee at Georgia?
Yes, I believe
I'm going to pull up the schedule in front of me as we're doing this. That one to me is very interesting because Georgia can just flat out score against the right teams, and particularly at home. But you've also seen Georgia ground to a halt against some good defensive teams. I remember Florida being one of them. I think that one intrigues me, especially the way that Tennessee came to play in Tuscaloosa this week, and Nate Ament was terrific. Was kind of the guy that I think Tennessee thought it would be getting. Interested to see, if Tennessee kind of turns over a new leaf there. Let me hit all of them just quickly. Mississippi State at LSU. Hey, LSU's got its best player back. Right. State is really struggling. LSU just needs to beat somebody. That's the perfect opportunity. ESPN tells me tickets low as $4 there, which kind of sums it up. Tickets as low as $70 for Auburn, which might tell you a little bit of how Auburn's been re-energized after beating Florida. I'd be more interested if that game was in Austin because I'm just not sure what Texas is going to do on the road. But Auburn's a team that needs to string a few together. Texas may be the most hot and cold team in the league, so we'll see how that goes. And Florida, South Carolina, that is in Columbia.
Yeah.
That could be sneakily interesting, I guess. Just because South Carolina is not, although they played horribly lately. For the most part, they're just not very talented, but they have played hard for Lamont Paris. I think Florida wins that, but life in the road in the SEC, you just never know.
Mm-hmm. Chris, looking at this entire SEC slate, how many teams right now, if you had to guess, are making March Madness?
Oh, gosh. Let me just run them down from the top. I think A&M's getting in, barring a collapse. Arkansas is getting in. Florida's getting in. Vanderbilt's getting in. Bama with 98% certainty is getting in. They got to get healthy at some point and play a little better defense.
Yeah.
That's 5. I think Georgia's getting in. That would be 6. Tennessee's getting in. That'd be 7. I think Auburn gets in. That's 8. Beyond that, I think maybe one more somewhere. Texas would be probably your best chance. Maybe Missouri. Again, both those teams very uneven. Don't have the net in front of me. I think Missouri was in maybe the 70s or so, and probably dropped last night with that lopsided loss. Texas, has beaten some good teams, but has just got to find some consistency. I would set it on probably 9.
Okay.
Maybe 8.5.
So, Chris, this weekend, some of the ranked matchups include Kentucky and Arkansas. Then, of course, we've got that matchup of Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. And then we have Florida and Alabama, oddly enough, on Sunday. Your thoughts on this weekend slate of games in the SEC on Saturday and Sunday?
Texas A&M at Georgia is going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Gosh, tickets as low as $80 at Stegeman Coliseum. When have we ever seen that? That's tremendous. Texas at Oklahoma is important. Oklahoma just can't catch a break. Texas, as I said, has got to get some wins somewhere. Mississippi State at Missouri. That's the closest thing to our free spot on the bingo card that Missouri's going to get. LSU at South Carolina. I think we talked about that one a little bit earlier. Kentucky at Arkansas. That one's always interesting when those two teams get together. I think Kentucky or Arkansas was the one that played the spoiler there. Would be much more interested in that game if it's in Lexington.
Right.
I think Hogs take care of business in Fayetteville, but you never know. Kentucky had won 5 in a row until Vandy, and then Auburn at Tennessee in the Food City Center. That'll be a good one too.
Mm-hmm. And then Florida and Alabama. And remember, what the Florida coach said about Bediako when he got in. They said it doesn't matter if he plays or not. We're still going to beat them.
Yeah, I think they're going to be walking into a hornet's nest. That's in the O'Connell Center. So that's a little different. Still, look, Alabama. Alabama may be the best team in this league if it can ever get all its guys healthy, especially now that it's got Bediako. Again, the defense is a concern, and maybe we're almost into February. I'm probably underplaying that a little bit. Teams that haven't played defense well the first 3 months of the year probably aren't going to just show up and start playing it. But Alabama's got talent. Bediako is going to help them underneath, kind of being that rim protector that they've lacked a little bit. So I could see that one being sneakily interesting just because of Todd Golden running his mouth there.
And Chris, I do want to ask you to get out of here. What was that, Heath?
My son, my 7-year-old. He's a little under the weather this morning, it sounds like. What the dog?
You have the mute button, man.
Steven, I can't predict when someone's going to cough. I can only predict when I'm going to cough.
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. It's a joke. You see me laughing. All right. So, Chris, with all of your college baseball content that you've done with all of the coaches in the SEC, what are a couple of fun topics that you have covered with a couple of the coaches that you could share with us?
Oh boy, I only get a couple, huh? I think I'll give you a couple of funny anecdotes.
Okay.
One was Skip Johnson, who I love, from Oklahoma, and we had him on. We have some coaches. We've interviewed about half the coaches in the league, and he gave us a story about I think he was at Ranger Junior College, and they had a sign or like some lettering like in the outfield, and the R fell off, so it was Anger College. We had some laughs about that. And then I think the other, Tim Corbin talked to us about, I don't know if you guys know this. He lives not too far from campus. He doesn't even drive a car. He's got like one of those 4-wheeler golf cart type things. And excuse me just a minute.
You're fine.
He was talking to us about, we asked him if he had any good stories with that. And he told us one about how I think he worked late and he and his wife were going to a concert. He didn't have time to go home. You know, Vanderbilt's not too far from downtown, so he just takes off in his 4-wheeler, driving down Broadway, and gets pulled over. And I think that was one of those things where, like, they recognized who he was and let him go, but we had a good laugh. Those were two of the better ones, and just really had a lot of great conversations. We had both the Alabama coaches on, Rob Vaughn and Auburn. Rob Vaughn at Alabama. And had Butch Thompson at Auburn on too. We had Brian O'Connor at Mississippi State. That was a great interview. So we've got a lot of those. We previewed all the teams now, and we're unveiling power rankings on Wednesday, our first edition of power rankings. So tons of baseball stuff coming.
Okay.
Chris, way too early. None of us know. This is a shot in the dark for everybody that answers this question. How many SEC teams make Omaha this year?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, look, I thought last year might be 5 or 6, and we got, 2 or whatever it was. which I think, I think if you play it again 10 times, that's the worst case outcome, but that's how it went. I mean, look, I think honestly, you've got 13 teams that I could see there.
Right.
Obviously they're not all going because it's only 8, but I mean, it was putting together power rankings was very interesting.
Oh, I bet.
I've gone through, I've literally got every roster, every player on the roster, looking at them, what they did last year, wherever they were, if they're freshmen, where were they ranked in high school. I've got it all on paper. Your eyes almost cross after a while, but it was terribly difficult trying to sort these out and rank them. But I'll tell you this, I think you got 13 really good teams. And who knows? I've got Oklahoma and South Carolina outside those, and I could make a case where each of those gets better. Well, Oklahoma's not going to get better after losing the Witherspoons, but I mean, Skip can coach, and I think Paul Maneri's probably got a better roster at Carolina than he did a year ago too. So,
right.
Yeah. Chris, one thing that always amazes me, because it happens about every other year in the SEC, there's always one highly ranked team. They lose like 2 of the 3 of their weekend starters, if not all 3, and they just fall apart. And there's a team on the outside who no one's really talking about, and they lose 2 of 3, if not all 3 of their weekend starters, and they keep overperforming. This happens almost all the time. Yeah. If you had to guess a team that would overperform this year that we're not expecting, who would you guess?
I think your 2 best guesses are almost always Kentucky and Alabama with their coaches, because they're never going to get probably. I don't know. It feels like they always finish above where they're picked and underperform. I'll tell you 2 that I had a hard time knowing what to do with are Georgia and Florida. I'm just not sure. Georgia's got a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of guys. 27 guys in the portal, but they're all from, South Carolina, upstate, or places like that for the most part, where the competition isn't just close to what it is in the SEC week in and week out. I'm not saying those guys can't be good. You see transfers like that pop a lot, but they're just heavily built on transfers. They've got all these arms, but they had that last year. They couldn't throw strikes. I worry about that with them, but a lot of people have got Georgia in the top 5. That one's one I'm interested in. And Florida's one Florida and A&M are 2 teams I was really conflicted on, because I think they both got a lot of talent. Florida's got, I mean, if I said Peterson and Aiden King were, this year's Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, I wouldn't be shocked. But you also had, and anytime you got 1-2 like that, that's a great starting point. But you've also got Kevin O'Sullivan kind of in a weird deal where he took a leave of absence. You've got, their hitting coach, Chuck Doraleman, left for Tennessee in October or November. Like, there's some weird stuff in the air with that program that you're like, okay, could that one just fall apart? But like, Florida's a lot healthier. I mean, that was the issue last year. They just couldn't stay healthy. So those are 2 teams that I'm just really fascinated over. Okay, how's this going to end?
Heath, both of those questions cannot be answered until well after first pitch even begins, man. Come on.
That's not true. That's not
true.
We make a
Steven,
all day long.
We are in the content business for
that's
questions
right,
like
Steven.
This. You got to recognize, man.
I could ask Chris right now. Chris, who do you think will be national champions of college football in 2031? And it could get clicks.
Yes.
Like, we don't even know who will be on the roster in 2031.
Well, there's a difference in asking that question when you've had time to process and you're close to the season and the rosters are set, and then asking that question in January where we don't even know who 2/3 of the guys on the team are and what's going to happen between now and then. I mean, look, we're close. I know this. Like, there's a lot of variability. I'm going to be way off in a lot of my predictions because I just think that
everybody is in college baseball.
You've just got so many really good teams in this league, and you throw in a freshman that nobody thought was going to do something, or like a guy like Connor Fennell at Vanderbilt that Vanderbilt wasn't even talking about a year ago, when it being one of the best pitchers in the league, and then you get some guys hurt like Florida did. Yeah. And like, the seasons don't ever take the pass that you think they're going to. And I think it's going to be fascinating.
Chris, I'll throw this out. when you start watching college baseball and you get into it and you try to predict these things preseason, the first thing you look at is who had a great summer, in Cape Cod or Summer League baseball. That's the first thing you look at. A lot of times that develops, but not all the time.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, a guy that might have been on fire during Cape Cod, and broke all these records and did this and that or whatever it might be, gets injured like the second week of the season. And you're like, well, this guy, is going to have Tommy John. And you're like, okay, well, we were expecting this guy to be like a top 5 pitcher in the SEC. And it goes from there. But I like what you said, because those are my favorite stories about college baseball. And that's why I love college baseball. There'll be some random sophomore that no one talked about last summer. He didn't do much in the spring. And then something clicks with him like 3 weeks into the season, and he just all of a sudden puts it together super fast. And he's your best pitcher going down the stretch. Those are the stories that I love about college baseball. And there's no way you can predict those. Nobody can predict them. Even the coaches can predict those.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like the year Andrew Benintendi won the Golden Spikes Award. I know he was I think decently highly regarded out of Ohio, but hadn't done much.
Right.
And I didn't know who he was heading into the season. You remember White Langford, 4 at bats, first team All-American the next year. Charlie Condon, redshirted. Hits 30 bombs at Georgia the next year. There's always guys like that.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you said Charlie Condon. I'm glad you brought that name up. I heard so many players from the Georgia team talk about when he got redshirted. They're like, why is Charlie getting redshirted? He's like the best guy at practice right now.
Yeah.
And yet the coach was like, nope, he's not ready. We're redshirting him. And player after player after player kept talking about, he's the best guy on our team, coach. He had the best fall. What stories and things did you hear since then about Charlie Condon? Because he blew it up and was one of the, if not the best player in college baseball the next year. The famous sneeze button. Oh.
And he, briefly, I do want to say this as well as we wait for Chris. I don't know about you guys, but the biggest storyline for me personally going into this season has got to be, is Tennessee going to miss a beat at all without Tony V being there in Knoxville? That to me is going to be the biggest storyline going into and throughout this season. Do they take a step back without their personality of a head coach that has moved on to Major League Baseball?
I think majority of the people will say yes. I think the few that matter the most that put on the uniform will tell you no.
Right.
It is so hard to overcome that. It is tremendously hard to overcome that. But that's the chip on their shoulder. That's the biggest chip on their shoulder that they're out to prove, we're not taking a step back. We're going to take a step forward. The rest of us laugh at that.
Yeah.
But, that's why, again, I love the sport. It's because of the grittiness of that, where they're like, nope, I'm not going to accept you putting us in this box.
Yep.
And we're taking the step back. I hit my sneeze button now.
Bless you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. But
so Chris, Heath asked you about Charlie Condon, I think it was. Do you have any stories about him?
I don't. I've never really dug in on that one. I do know that he was headed to Rhodes College, which is in Memphis. It's a Division III school until Georgia called him last minute. So the development cycle for these guys is just crazy.
Yeah.
In terms of just guys that pop up, or you're seeing it now in pro ball. Skeens was a guy that was probably a better hitter his first 2 years in college. I mean, he's a good pitcher at Air Force.
Excellent catcher too.
Yeah, I mean, and just maybe not having all that wear and tear on his arm. I mean, you're seeing Nolan McLean, with the Mets now. When he was at Oklahoma State, he pitched some, but he was a better hitter. Now he's one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. I just think these development cycles and, a lot of that led by technology and all these driveline places and stuff like that. I just think it's so fascinating because there's so many variables. The development curve just isn't anything like what it was 10 or 15 years ago.
Chris, look, man, this has been an absolute blast. I know that we were only going to touch on basketball, but we did baseball as well. As we walk out the door, give us your thoughts on how you think the Braves are going to do this year, especially after the very, very disappointing season last year in Atlanta.
Well, look, I think it starts with health.
Yes.
They had their whole rotation out, I think, at one point last year or close to it. Got to keep Andrew Jones. He just made the Hall of Fame. That's why that's on my mind. You got to keep Acuna healthy. Austin Riley's been hurt 2 years in a row. So that's number one. But I like what they did in the offseason. I think the pieces that they got were good. I like getting Mike Yastrzemski for a corner spot. I liked signing the shortstop they got from the Rays, who the name escapes me, although he broke his hand, I think, and is going to miss some time. So we're already started with injuries. But yeah, I think their rotation, like if they can get Sale healthy the whole year, didn't happen last year, but did happen the year before, and he won the Cy Young. Spencer Schwellenbach, a guy that was a pop-up guy, was a college shortstop who became a great pitcher. Not a lot of miles on that arm, but did get hurt last night. Last year. Right. I think, I like a lot of the pieces there. Riley needs to pop back and have a better season than he did, but I think they got enough to, maybe contend for a division title again and at least get to the playoffs.
Okay. Well, Chris, look, man, as always, thank you for taking time out of your always busy schedule at Southeastern 16 to join us, and we will catch up with you later on. Heath has one final thing as we walk out the door.
Chris, I saw this, and I meant to ask this earlier in the interview. I saw something where actually I heard it on a podcast that Mississippi State has something crazy like 2,400 at-bats returning from last year, or like 2,600, 2,800. It's some crazy, insane amount of at-bats. Did you look at any of that in your research? Because you did deep dives on your research. Who in the world is bringing back the most at-bats in the SEC? Because I thought that clearly had to lead something right there. With that, I was like, that's a ton of at-bats.
Yeah, the wild thing is it doesn't, I think. I think Georgia might – I'm trying to pull up because I think I'm the one that did that. I might have been the one that put that out there. The number exactly for Mississippi State was 2,885 if you include – JUCO guys, which I guess they didn't have any JUCO guys. That might be it. Georgia has got 3,379.
Jeez Louise.
And again, that's plate appearances, not at bats. That's including walks. That includes a JUCO kid who had 211 of them, for whatever that's worth. But still, and that's kind of par for the course in the league. Is you've got a lot of these teams that are just stocked up with these guys that have played a lot of ball elsewhere, which, that's the other thing. Like, how many of these guys are gonna regret transferring when they had, 250 at bats last year at Richmond or St. Bonaventure, and they're getting, 74 in the SEC. That'll be interesting.
Chris, look, man, go and enjoy covering SEC basketball tonight and on Saturday. Make sure you stay safe on those roads up there in Nashville, and we will definitely catch up with you later on, my friend, okay?
You bet. Thank you guys for having me. God bless you. Stay safe.
Yes.
Stay warm, Chris.
You bet.
All right, so Heath, that is going to wrap up our SEC basketball and our SEC baseball talk of the Stingray Show. Are you ready to transition into the post show?
As always.
All right, so we are about to run one of our sponsors and advertisers right here, and then we will be back to do the National Day of Today and the National History of Today right after this. And with all of the snowstorm and ice damage, it is currently a best time right now to make sure you are up to date with all of your insurance policies. It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. And we want to welcome you back into now to the post show of the Stingray Show. Hope all is well with you. And Heath, I'm actually going to pull up a comment from earlier in the show. We talked about the cold weather, and earlier John Stringer said what he was going to do this weekend with the former governor of the state of Mississippi.
I don't think that's our governor.
Former
we have a Governor Folsom.
Yeah.
I think you have a Governor Folsom.
Okay. I don't know, man. I screwed that up. That was my bad.
That's okay.
So yeah, they will be taking a few folks hunting with former Governor Folsom. Will be sitting next to the fire.
You know, Stephen, I made this post the other day. I made a joke when I was in college. Our phone would start ringing when it would start snowing. Like our phone at our apartment would ring off the hook, and there was 5 of us stuffed in this apartment, and we could not understand why. And we were, smart aleck college kids. It's the mid-90s, the grunge movement things going on, but you get woke up in the middle of the night, like, hey, how are the roads out there? They're blacktop. And you hang up on them, like, what's going on?
Right.
And like the phone would not stop ringing. Like it would ring every, 3-4 minutes all night long. So finally we started, we took the phone off the hook. It's like, oh, I don't know what happened. Maybe our line got crossed with somebody. But, put the phone back on the hook, starts ringing again. And so finally my roommate said, what number are you calling? Our number used to be 323-5134. The state trooper office down the street was 323-5314. And people were getting our numbers confused. They were putting it in too fast, and they were calling us. So we were being polite at first, and then we started like making jokes about it later. And like, well, what are the roads like? It's like, how much money do you got, boy? Like, we'd start being smart alecks. But Governor Kirk Fordyce at the time, I don't know if Kirk Fordyce is still with us or not, but Governor Fordyce was governor at the time, and so I made the joke. Hey, I'd like to know, how are the roads out there? Are the highways still open? And I was like, we're not answering any questions until Governor Fordyce gives us a raise. We're underpaid. We're overworked. Until Governor Fordyce pays, we're not answering any questions. And then we'd hang up the phone, thinking we were the funniest people on the earth. But craziness in the snow, man. State troopers, you don't know how many people are looking to get out to go check on family and other people. And that's when common sense hit us. So, well, Kay, I hate to tell you this. I think he's a little bit under the weather. He went to bed early last night. We just thought he had too much fun sledding yesterday.
Right.
He wakes up this morning and he hacked up. Stephen called him out on it on the show. But,
no, I did not.
But he went back into his room. But if he comes out, I'll let you talk to Jack. We'll ask Jack a question or two.
All right. So Heath, today is January the 28th, and we have one thing that is interesting on the National Day of today, and we actually got into a discussion about this, I believe it was last week or the week before, here on the Stingray Show. Heath, today is none other than National Blueberry Pancake Day.
We have been eating pancakes at our house here recently. We got time to make them. Usually we make a waffle or microwave a sausage and biscuit, run out the door, grab a Pop-Tart, whatever it is. But when you don't have to get ready and run out the door for school and work, and you're stuck in the house. Yesterday, we made biscuits, we made eggs, we had bacon, we made cinnamon apples. We baked some cinnamon apples. We had a great breakfast yesterday. I was going to make some grits, but I was like, man, we got plenty of food here. But I think I'm going to make me some grits this morning. Love some grits. I know a lot of people don't. I love some grits.
All right, Heath, when we go to the national history of today, in 1813, the book Pride and Prejudice is published in the UK.
I did not know that book came out in the UK. Wow.
Back
what year was that?
1813.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that either. I knew it was an older book, but I would guess like later 1800s, early 1900s. I would not have guessed. Steven, that book's over 200 years old.
Yeah.
213 years old to be exact.
Yep.
Wow.
All right. Speaking of baseball, can you tell me what happened on January the 28th of 1901?
January 28th of 1901. Well, the season's not going on.
No.
Maybe a team.
Something was created.
I was about to say either a team was announced they were moving or something, but since something was created, did they put seams on the baseball? Did they vote to put seams on it? Yeah, what happened?
The American League is formed, consisting then of just 8 baseball teams. So the American League has been since 1901.
I know the National League is older because they call that the senior circuit.
Yep.
And but interesting.
Yep. So the AL was created on this day in 01.
Huh.
For any of you baseball nerds out there that like the old history, there's your history knowledge of baseball.
You know, Stephen, I saw a wonderful video. I got my party animals hat on. You know, Savannah Bananas always play the party animals.
Yeah.
But anyway, I saw yesterday a video from Jesse, who wears the yellow tuxedo for the Savannah Bananas, and he was talking about how parents are paying way too much money for their kids to play baseball. You know, this travel baseball, elite baseball, select baseball, competitive baseball, whatever you call it in your area. They're paying way too much, and kids are getting burned out. And Savannah Bananas are holding these tournaments and doing things different about this. And I think it's just absolutely amazing that we're starting to see this revolt against travel ball. Yeah. And I got a buddy of mine. Are you ready for this, Stephen? I won't say his name. He's got kids that are like middle school, high school age, girl and a boy. They spent over $40,000 last year in travel volleyball, cheer, and baseball. They spent over 40 grand on their 2 kids in travel sports. I mean, this is taken away from people's retirement. Not forget taking away your vacation that summer with the family, going to the beach or something, enjoying Disney World or whatever you might be doing, traveling Europe with that kind of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you could travel Europe and Australia one summer with that kind of money.
Yes.
But over 40 grand. This is ridiculous of what we're doing to youth sports. It has to change. So shout out to the Savannah Bananas trying to make good in this crazy youth sports world.
Heath, going back to the history, can you tell me what U.S. branch is formed in 1915 today?
Probably not the Treasury. Well, there's so many branches. I mean, they average something like 15 branches a year or something. Oh, what? It was the Army?
U.S. Coast Guard. is created as a branch of the U.S. Armed Forces.
I was about to say, I thought the Army was actually older than the country.
Yeah.
United States Army was.
So the Coast Guard was founded and created on this day in 1915.
I always see those guys down at Key West. There's like I think there's a Navy base, which is an Air Force base, and a Coast Guard base down there in Key West. And I was like, I wonder what those guys did to get stationed here. What do those guys do to get stationed out in Hawaii?
Right. Or Biloxi.
Yeah, San Diego. I mean, there's a girl, I coach a team, her father, I can't remember if he was in the Navy or the Coast Guard. I think he was in the Navy. But I was like, oh, where were you stationed? And he was like, Scandinavia. And I was like, oh my gosh. Or Nova Scotia, one or the other. I can't remember. Right. It was cold. But I was like, oh, that sounds miserable. I was like, yeah, I was on a submarine. I'm like, oh, that's even worse. You're frozen. You're underwater. Not for me, brother.
Heath, can you tell me why this guy is famous? Today is his birthday, and it goes along with national history. Lewis Wilson.
I don't know Louis Wilson. Who's Louis Wilson?
He is the first actor to play Batman in the 1943 film of Batman.
There are, you can pull, I'll try to post this if I remember, Stephen, on the show. There were these short movies, these mini movies, back in the 40s about Batman. It was kind of funny because they called it like the Bat's Cave instead of the Bat Cave.
Right.
And the Batsmobile instead of the Batmobile. But funny, they had a letter mailed to the Bat's Cave, and it was in Los Angeles, California. It was not Gotham City.
Right.
So yeah, I think they used the address of the studio for the Bat's Cave. But yeah, I'll see if I can't find those. But I do know that was a big thing, like in the 60s and 70s, like these clubs. I remember Hugh Hefner had a club, and they used to play those mini movies up. They were a huge hit, but they go on for like 20, 30 minutes. And I want to say there was like 8 of them. It was the whole storyline is one together.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun stuff. But I'll see if I can't find that out. But it was the first time Batman had a car in that, and the first time we got to see the Batcave as well.
All right. Heath, can you tell me when we move to 1956 what major thing happened on TV, on national TV, that sent shockwaves through a ton of people?
What year?
1956.
That's 20 years before I was born. I don't know what happened in 56.
On the Tommy and Jim Dorsey stage show, which was on CBS, Elvis Presley makes his national television debut performing Shake, Rattle, and Roll and I Got a Woman. Elvis's appearance generated a flood of mail from viewers who couldn't understand how they could allow someone like Elvis on the program. However, the ratings between January and March skyrocketed because he would appear on the show 6 more times.
Wow. Insane. It's I don't understand why people don't understand this yet. I mean, we've had this since the 50s. You just mentioned that, Stephen. This has been going on for 70 years, and some people do not get it or understand it. If you tell people don't watch something, or how could you let somebody on your show, or don't do this, or say no to this, like it immediately skyrockets of what you don't want.
Right.
Like, oh, nobody watch. I don't even know what show is on now. Is that show How I Met Your Mother still on TV? I don't even know. I've never seen it. So if everyone said, don't watch How I Met Your Mother, it's just atrocious. It's wrong. It's morally just degrading. And like, people are like, well, what's the big fuss about? I'm gonna see what they're talking about. They're going to tune into it. and the rating, everyone tunes into it, and the ratings go through the roof.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I heard this yesterday. When Nancy Reagan started her Just Say No program, and her and Clint Eastwood talked about crack and how crack was addictive, and they did their PSA, and Clint Eastwood's like, crack is whack. Stay away from crack. Just say no to drugs. Do you know crack sales like skyrocketed and went through the roof? They were thinking that it was going to kill it and, take it away. Nope, it did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Crack took off, and I'm like, wow, it's just insane of what us humans do. You tell us not to do it. Oh, I'm going to do it real quick. See what happens.
Heath, this one is going to make you laugh. This one's going to make you smile. This one's going to tickle you pink. Can you tell me who was the first pick in the 1969 NFL draft on this day?
Not Terry Bradshaw, because we went over that yesterday. First pick in 16.
Let me just tell you.
Big Butkus. I have no idea.
Heath, I'm glad you lived. O.J. Simpson.
Orenthal James Simpson, who wrote me a note that says, Heath, I'm glad you lived. O.J. Simpson.
When I saw that, I was studying for this. I was like, I got to put that in there, and I got to say that.
That's funny. That's too funny. Yeah. OJ, man. He's no longer with us.
Yeah. And he was picked by the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And had a tremendous season. We all know how that turned out. I'm not going to defend it. I'm not going to make excuses for him. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, it's just sad of how all that went down. Right. Terribly sad. 2 people lost their lives. Children lost their mother. This is insane. A father lost his son. That's terrible.
All right. Now, Heath, I don't know who was on the coke, crack, or whatever, or maybe they both were, but this is an autograph that I would not want. Can you tell me what weird and strange thing happened in 1978?
Man, I'm 3 years old. Not probably not even 3 yet. I'm 2. Just turned 2. An autograph, 78. Who's big in 78? Man, there's a lot of people who are big in 78. Jimmy Carter's president, and I'm trying to think sports-wise. Yankees are going up and down. The Bronx Zoo is part of the Yankees. I'm trying to think music. Is it music? Music of 78. Man, you're in the middle of disco. You're coming out. Kiss is big. Kiss is big. Yeah. Not Kiss.
It's a single. It's a single guy.
And so, Engelbert Humperdinck.
No,
I have no idea.
This makes me cringe a little bit, Heath, and it probably will you too. Ted Nugent autographs a fan's arm with his pocket knife. Like, what?
Oh, what? Uncle Ted. Never known as the sane one, but always the fun one.
I was like, oh my goodness. When I read that, I was like, ugh, I don't think I would want an autograph by anybody with a knife.
Everybody has a crazy uncle, and just about all of us have a crazy uncle, and just about everyone has a rich uncle. And Ted Nugent is both for somebody out there. Yes. Uncle Ted. Wow.
Jeez, man. I mean, I just can't even imagine how, the circumstances behind that.
Well, it wasn't like you kidnapped the person. Was it a man or a woman? Do we know?
It doesn't say. It just says a fan's arm with a knife. Jeez. I'm just like, whew.
You know what? I don't know if it's even. There used to be so many crazy things that Hollywood used to do for attention back then. I wonder if that's one of those made up stories. You know what, Stephen? I'm going to be trapped in the snow today. I'm going to look that up later today, and I'm going to see if I can't find anything. Yeah, I saw her comment. She's in the other room over there. I could yell at her. She could hear me. But, yeah, my wife. Yeah, sure. Hey, she might look like a spring chicken, but I know how old she is too. So
Yeah. All right. And Heath, we talked about this yesterday. You brought this up on the show. So I'm going to be very disappointed if you don't know this one. What song was released on January the 28th of 1985?
Cameo Word Up. I made that up. I think that came out in 86. 1985.
Talked about it yesterday. You mentioned it. You referred to it.
Oh, We Are the World.
Correct. The charity single We Are the World, recorded by Supergroup USA of Michael Jackson, as well as Lionel Richie, Quincy Jones, Bruce Springsteen, Stevie Wonder, Willie Nelson, and numerous other pop stars, was recorded and released on this day in 1985.
Stephen, the fun thing about that, there's a wonderful show. I believe it's on Netflix. It might be on Prime. I can't remember. I've watched that during the snow as well. There's a wonderful documentary. I think it's on Netflix. And it talked about all the stars that came in. There's like 40 whatever stars, 50 whatever stars there in one room. All these egos. They only invited like the top of the top, like the best of the best.
Yeah.
And like each genre of music of like, Motown and soul and country music and rock and pop and, all these people. One guy walked out and Stevie Wonder started saying, I think we need some Swahili in this song. And he started singing like this crazy Swahili, my baby, whatever it was.
Right.
One person was like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And guess who it was? We talked about him on the show yesterday.
Who?
Waylon Jennings, like, bye.
Really?
Waylon Jennings walked out. When Stevie Wonder's like, I think we need some Swahili in here. Waylon's like, I'm done with this. Good night. Right. I'm out. So.
Diana Ross. She was in there too. Yes. Thank you, Julie.
Yeah, Diana Ross. I've never heard a negative thing about Diana Ross. And after you watch that documentary, you're like, man, I wish I was neighbors with Diana Ross.
Yeah.
She just seems like a super, super sweet lady, a fun lady and a sweet lady.
And Heath, I really hate to end on a bad note, but this was something major that happened in history, so we have to cover it. Can you tell me what tragic event happened in 1986 on January the 28th?
1986. Does it have to do with NASA? Yeah, the Challenger.
Man.
Don't ask me how my brain works. I don't know why I remember that, but I do.
Man, that was so sad. It exploded 73 seconds after liftoff from the Cape Canaveral, killing all 7 crew members.
I shared this on the show. And when I was in grade school, South Haven Elementary, the Mustangs. When I was at South Haven Elementary, if there was ever a shuttle launch and it was your library day, you got to watch that. And so we had library that day, and it was almost time for the shuttle launch, and then our time ran out. And we had to go back to class, and right after library, we had lunch. And from when we walked down the hall from the library, from the new building to our classroom, Miss Young's class, Zula Young, I remember my third grade teacher's name. She was an old lady then, and I think she might still be with us. I know she had her 100th birthday a couple of years ago. I don't know if she's still with us or not, but Miss Zula Young came out, and we walked back to her class, and we got in line to go to lunch. And while we were in line walking back down the same hallway, heading toward the cafeteria, they announced that the shuttle had exploded. And I'm kind of glad I didn't see it. I did see the replay of it on the news that night. They showed it on the news for 2 weeks afterwards. But yeah, man, that was weird. That was weird. And we didn't worry about mental health back in the 80s. It was like, hey, eat your square pizza, have your applesauce. You're going to recess after this, and tomorrow will be a better day. And but yeah, crazy, crazy time. But yeah, I remember the shuttle exploding.
That was so sad, dude.
Yeah, tremendously, tremendously sad.
I'm trying to find something positive to bring us back from this so that we could.
Yeah, I would ignore Julie's comments. Julie will bring us something back positive. How about that?
All right. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up this edition of the Stingray Show. This has been an absolute blast, giving you guys the national history of today, the national day of today, and then, of course, earlier in the show, basketball and baseball. Tomorrow, we are going to be joined by a lawyer here in Tuscaloosa to talk about all of the legalities of the Charles Bediako situation and how it pertains to the NCAA and moving forward. So that will be on the Thursday edition of the Stingray Show. Heath, any final words before we sign off?
Yeah, there's obviously like a 7-8 second delay because I hear my wife laughing after we left from the show. Yeah, I heard her laughing from the room over. So there you go. Julie, you in trouble. But hey, for all the folks tomorrow, when we bring the lawyer on,
yeah,
all you college kids out there, you can ask all your legal questions that you want to. For you employed people who don't want to go to work, you can ask about your employment. Do I really have to go to work in the snow and ice? They threaten to fire me or use a personal day after they claim a state of emergency for the state. Do I really have to go in? And you older people can talk about your CBD ailments and drug test at work as well. We'll get all those fun questions in. I just made all that up.
But hey, you're trying to end on a positive note and a fun note. There you go, man.
Oh, well, whatever legal craziness you could dream up, have fun with it tomorrow. Yeah. We're going to start off with basketball. There's no telling where the conversation could go.
Yes. And of course, we will also do, like we do every day, the National Day of Today and the National History of Today. And we do hope that you guys do enjoy that little bit of, entertaining and informative part of the show where Heath and I go back and forth talking about history and the day of today.
Steven, what are you doing today? Because I am trapped in here. I'm going to watch another WrestleMania. I'm sure we'll catch up on another movie from the Rocky saga. We're up to Rocky 4 now. We're going to wrap up 3. I'm sure we'll watch 4 today. Everyone loves Rocky 4. The whole house will probably watch that one. I'm sure we'll do some sledding. We'll probably make some breakfast. Yeah, Jack's under the weather, Kay. Yeah. I know. Right. I know. We'll try to get Jack. I'll see if I can get him to brush his hair before he comes on. He wakes up all sleepy headed.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll have a Jack and Hazel segment, and then I'll like power bomb them both on the couch when I get tired, because I do that. I do put wrestling moves on my kids. That won't be the first power bomb on the couch. So. Now, Julie will probably wonder, that's why the couch keeps moving off the rug, is you're power bombing our kids on the couch. Yep. Yes, I am.
And Heath, we had a fun show with Kane yesterday. That was
a great show with Kane yesterday.
We got to incorporate more former wrestlers on this show.
Yeah. I asked him the question, and I didn't think about this. I thought about the follow-up. Actually, I think I thought about it this morning when I was getting ready for the show. Mm-hmm. I asked him the question, like, hey, when the Royal Rumble comes out and they bring these guys out, guys you hadn't seen in a while, I called them old guys. He corrected me and said they're legends. They're not old guys, they're legends.
Yeah.
When the legends come out, I was like, do you both laid on the mat talking to each other like, man, it's good to see you. Hey, I'm glad you're back. And he said, yeah. I should have asked him who was one of the favorite guys that he used to see, or what's the fun conversation he had in the ring when a legend came back. But and I also noticed this, Steven, and he left the door open because someone asked him, or one of us asked him, I think it was you, would he be making an appearance at the Royal Rumble? And he said, I haven't gotten a call yet. Not at this time, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
But he left the door open like, hey, if they call me last second, I'm going to enter the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So I did think about that last night. So
And
would it be fun if he did get a call and he got in and, put, 12 guys out? That would be fun. That'd be fun to talk about.
Heath, to wrap this up, you know who I think would be dynamic to have on to preview WrestleMania?
Not Diamond Dallas Page.
Oh, come on! You're going to feel the bang!
All right, I have to explain to everybody. I love DDP. We've had him on the show, what, twice? 3 times?
3.
3 times.
Yeah.
We've had DDP on the show. Here's the thing with DDP. You ask a question, and then you sit here for like 44 straight minutes until he finishes talking. Like, you can ask him a question like, hey, DDP, is there snow outside your house right now, yes or no? Let me tell you, the weather pattern's here at my place. And he just starts going to this, and then he just keeps talking. He just keeps talking, and he talks so fast, and he gets so excited about things. And then he says like cuss words like every 3 words. Yeah. And then, you're like, we can't use this entire question or interview. Like, I remember, Steven, we did like a 2-hour, 2.5 hour, maybe close to 3-hour interview.
Yeah.
And like, we barely got like 40 minutes out of it.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I think we had to do some filler at the beginning and end of the show.
Yeah.
Even like, so we talked to this man for 3 hours and we were able to use like 28 minutes. I mean, it was insane.
You know who I would like to get, though? I would, and I've tried to reach out, but I've never heard back. I'd like to get the Big Show on. He was one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, like, I don't tell the kids, all the people that come on the show, but I do know that my kids watched, even my older kids watched is it the Big Show? Like, there was a show on Netflix that Big Show did. I think it's called Big Show.
Mm-hmm.
And they watched that. And so I said, hey, you guys know who the Big Show is, right? Well, yeah, it's like, he's supposed to be on the show on Thursday or whatever day we were going to have him on.
And then he had travel issues and had to cancel. But
yeah. And so, and didn't we get like one of the Hardy Boys instead in his place?
Matt.
Yeah, we got Matt Hardy.
Fun interview. That was fun.
Yeah, they said, hey, you can't get Big Show. Here's Matt Hardy. Have a good weekend.
Jeff Hardy would have been better, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, the Hardy Boys were fun to watch back in the day, but yeah, we tried to get Jerry Lawler a million times, and Jerry gave us this reason. I thought it was an excuse because I love Jerry Lawler and I won't ever think anything less of him because I think he was just the greatest thing. He was my childhood hero.
Yeah.
But Jerry Lawler said, hey, I've had some medical things come up. I've had a stroke. I can't remember everything. I wouldn't be good about telling stories. So,
dude, I want that one as well.
Yeah, that's Steven's favorite. He loves him some John Cena. Julie loves her some John Cena.
Right. So, dude, there's a lot of wrestlers we would like to get on here. So maybe we can work on that.
Yeah. You know what? Just for fun, this does not have to be anywhere close to the top of the list, but maybe we get both guys from Rock and Roll Express to come on and just let them tell stories. Because I think Ricky Morton is from Alabama.
Yeah.
And I know he had a wrestling school in Tuscaloosa there for a while. That was back when I was in college. But have both those guys tell stories because they could feed off each other. And, we just throw the question, they start feeding off each other and going about it. But that would be a fun show.
I tell you one that I really want to try to get, and I have been trying, and I have not been able to get through yet, but I'm working on it. Austin 316 said, I just whipped your... Yeah, okay. I'm not going to finish that, but Stone Cold would be awesome.
Yeah, no matter what Stone Cold does, everyone seems to like. He just relates to people so easily. And it's funny because he didn't start his career that way, and after he shaved his head and didn't like his boss, everyone related to him.
Yes. All right. So, Heath, that is going to wrap up. We've gone an hour and 20 minutes. I think that is good enough for the show today. It has been a blast. Thank you to everyone that has chimed in, including Julie, K-Bug, and as well as John Stringer up there at the very top. And guys, we will see you tomorrow. Like we said, with our good friend and my personal lawyer here in Tuscaloosa, talking all of the legalities about the Charles Bediaco situation with Alabama and the NCAA. And we will see you tomorrow morning at 8:15 right back here on the Stingray Show. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday out there. Have a great evening, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
I think this is the second time my wife has actually listened to the show. Like, second time ever. Like, the first time we were on the radio, I think she did, and I think this one is like the second time ever. We've done what? Like, we're close to like 900 shows. We're getting close to 1,000 shows.
Yes.
And she's listened to 2.
Hey, we're making progress.
2 out of 900. That's why I tell everyone her Christmas gifts on the show or Mother's Day gifts, and I know that you won't ever know what they are.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I will holler at you later on, and we will see you back here on the Stingray Show tomorrow morning at 8:30.
Sayonara. We will see you tomorrow. I'm going to restart my Groundhog Day and go back to sledding, watching TV, cooking breakfast, and wishing for warmer days.
Yes, I know. And of course,
maybe Stephen, I like force the entire family. Like, I bet you we could get 4 people on the couch, and I could put somebody in my lap.
Yeah,
and I'll see if I can't do the entire show, or not an entire show.
Segment.
A few minutes of 90 seconds of the show with my entire family, and the chaos that's here. I already hear my wife laughing about this. Yeah.
All right. So y'all be good, and we will see you tomorrow on the Stingray Show. Heath has got to go and have a lot of fun with his family.
In the snow.
It's a new year, and now is the best time to review your insurance policies. With a helpful customer service team here to serve you in Alabama and over in Mississippi. For all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs, call the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha Insurance to create a customized plan to protect your family's home and autos. You can stop by his office at 3428 McFarland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or simply call 205-462-8192, or call the number on your screen right there. And remember, with Alpha Insurance, the more you protect it, the more you save. Reach out to the Jeff Nee Agency of Alpha today for all of your auto, home, life, and business insurance needs. For over 100 years, the Bank of Moundville has been a name clients can trust. The Bank of Moundville is more than just a bank. They're your neighbors, your friends, and your community partners. Their unique approach to financial education has always centered around families. They believe that financially strong homes today lay the foundation for a brighter futures for tomorrow's generation. You can call them today at 205-371-2227. Once again, that is 371-2227 to schedule an appointment to build your financial security. The Bank of Moundville is a member FDIC and an equal housing lender. How would you like to live where you love in the state of Alabama? Whether it is your upsizing, downsizing, retiring at the beach, or relocating for your job, then you are going to want to contact Celeste Hagler, owner of First Class Real Estate South Home Group, with brokers in Tuscaloosa, Orange Beach, and Huntsville. They can help you with the buying, selling, and investment needs throughout the state of Alabama. You can contact Celeste at 205-861-5698. Once again, that is 205-861-5698, and schedule a consultation to discuss your real estate goals anywhere across the state of Alabama.